Good, happy Tuesday morning, August 27, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's begin. First up, some New Hampshire communities on alert after Triple E detected in Massachusetts. Potential deadly illness found in horse in Methuen. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
Do you need a new roof but think you can't afford it? Our average customer pays $7,500 for a total roof replacement, and we have finance plans with payment options under $150 per month. Call today. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
We're asking those communities that border us to please take it seriously. The southern New Hampshire communities, you don't know where these mosquitoes can travel.
Methuen's mayor urging everyone to take precautions after a horse that contracted Eastern Equine Encephalitis, or Triple E, died today.
Most importantly, we don't want anybody to lose their life.
Now, town and school activities in Methuen must end at 7 p.m. through September 30th. Here in New Hampshire, health officials are also keeping an eye on the situation at the border.
Because they're right on the border with New Hampshire, we are in the process actually of notifying the surrounding town health officials and administrators in the New Hampshire towns that border Methuen about that positive test.
Pelham and Salem are on that list. Meantime, Pelham and Manchester have already seen mosquitoes test positive for Triple E, but so far no human or animal cases have been reported here. It can cause symptoms that range from feeling like the flu to far more serious.
So about 1 in 3 people, or about a third of people who develop symptoms from Triple E will develop a more severe central nervous system form of the infection.
Methuen's mayor says he plans on having discussions with officials in New Hampshire border towns tomorrow. Now, while officials monitor the situations in the towns that are impacted by this, they're reminding people to cover any exposed skin when you're outdoors, avoid dusk and dawn when mosquitoes are most active, and also dump out any standing water that might be near your house. Live in Pelham tonight, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Johnson & Johnson ordered to pay $572 million for its role in Oklahoma opioid crisis. New Hampshire also suing drug manufacturing. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
For 10 years, New England homeowners have trusted Century Roofing. We get the job done right at a fair price. Call today to arrange a free estimate and to reserve a spot for your 2019 roof replacement. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
An Oklahoma judge made history today, ordering drug manufacturer Johnson & Johnson and its subsidiaries to pay $572 million to that state. The judge found the companies helped to fuel Oklahoma's drug crisis in the first ever state opioid case to go to trial.
This is a very significant decision for those of us who have been fighting this opioid case for a long time.
New Hampshire is also suing Johnson & Johnson and other drug makers for what the state says is deceptive marketing practices. Jim Buffetti of the Attorney General's office says the case is moving forward, and he's hoping for a trial date next year.
We need to be able to to get the drug companies to essentially fix what they broke.
In a separate suit, a trial is slated for the fall. About 2,000 communities across the country have joined together, accusing opioid makers of causing the epidemic.
The Attorney General of Oklahoma asked that judge for $17 billion because that's the cost. And we're getting excited about 572. I don't buy it.
Kirk Semino and his firm represent Manchester, Nashua, Berlin, and other cities and counties. He wants to see a trial decided by a 12-person jury on more serious allegations like consumer protection and fraud.
I don't think we should let these folks out cheap just because they want to pay now. It's a long time coming, so it should be a long time in getting resolved.
Johnson & Johnson says it will appeal what it calls a flawed judgment in Oklahoma.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Five National Guardmen from Manchester killed in Vietnam 50 years ago. Monday. All five buried at Monument Calvary Cemetery. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
Do you need a new roof but think you can't afford it? Our average customer pays $7,500 for a total roof replacement, and we have finance plans with payment options under $150 per month. Call today. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
A salute over a flag-lined gravesite, a reminder the sorrow and memories and respect never faded over the past 50 years. Guy Blanchette's sister Sylvia was 14 when he died in Vietnam. Too emotional to speak, her husband shares the family grief on this anniversary.
It's a very difficult time for the family right now, and we try to come out once a year on this day just to pay our respects.
Blanchette is laid to rest next to close friend Roger Robichaud in Mount Calvary Cemetery in Manchester. Not far away, Gayton Bodwin, Richard Raymond, and Richard Genest. All five National Guardsmen, lost the week before they were supposed to return home, are laid to rest here. Roger Robichaud's sister Sue remembers the heartache and lives with it every day.
The irony about it is that we were all planning on celebrating his coming home. And I also had planned a big 25th wedding anniversary party for my parents at the same time. My brother was buried on their 25th wedding anniversary.
Now she holds on to the happy memories of her big brother.
He was a gentle soul. He was handsome. He was tall. All the girls chased him, I can remember. And I remember him and I dancing in the kitchen to rock and roll.
50 years later, coins, flowers, and flags show the men are never forgotten.
We can't forget. No, we can't forget. Just want to thank all the military service people and all the men that he served with who gave their lives for the country. And God bless America.
In Manchester, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Amy Columbolter wraps up today New Hampshire visit at Bedford House Party. Minnesota Senator also visited Keene Monday.
For 10 years, New England homeowners have trusted Century Roofing. We get the job done right at a fair price. Call today to arrange a free estimate and to reserve a spot for your 2019 roof replacement. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
Amy Klobuchar wrapped up a visit to the Granite State tonight in Bedford. The Minnesota senator spoke at a House party, laying out her vision for the future of the country. Klobuchar talked about climate change, the opioid crisis, and why she says her campaign becomes more important with every week that President Trump is in the White House.
What unites us is bigger than what divides us, no matter what he says, and that it is time for us to cross the river of our divides to get to a higher plane in our politics.
Klobuchar posed for pictures with Granite Staters and also visited Keene earlier today.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Yang releases 5-point plan to address climate crisis. Democrat presidential candidate says solving problem will boost economy. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
For 10 years, New England homeowners have trusted Century Roofing. We get the job done right at a fair price. Call today to arrange a free estimate and to reserve a spot for your 2019 roof replacement. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
Calling it the number one threat to global security, Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang unveiled his plan to battle climate change today in Portsmouth. Yang says we need to change what too many people see as a tug-of-war approach to this pressing issue.
So the tug-of-war is on one side you have like economic growth and jobs, and then on this other side you have addressing climate change. We have to let people know that they're the same thing, that we can grow our economy, we can create hundreds of thousands of new jobs.
Yang's 5-part plan includes investing more in sustainable energy here in America. He says he'd like to create incentives to build more charging stations for electric cars and would like all new vehicles to be emissions-free by 2030. Yang also wants to start healing the environment, things as simple as planting trees. But he also says it's very important that the United States takes a global lead to convince all the nations of the world that this is an issue and the time to act is now.
America has to be able to go to these developing countries and say, instead of that coal-burning power plant, how about solar energy, how about wind, and we're going to help you get there.
Yang admits his plan is similar to those of other Democratic candidates, but he wants to press the issue further. Isabella Much of Portsmouth says this is a top issue for her.
I think it should be for everybody because it's going to impact everybody at some point, probably closer in the future than we expect.
Yang also talked climate change today with Seacoast fishermen and ended his day with a town hall meeting in Keene. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Rollover crash on East Side Drive in Concord. Concord police and firefighters were sent to a crash near the exit 16 roundabout. Take a look at this video. Okay, and there you go on that video. Concord fire and rescue teams and police were called to a single vehicle rollover crash on the East Side Drive Monday at the little past 9 p.m. The crash was just east of the exit 16 roundabout near Eastman Street. When first responders arrived, they found a driver and passenger breathing and alert. After speaking to the driver and passenger, an officer told dispatch that none of them were impaired. One patient was taken later to the hospital. The vehicle was identified as a Chevrolet Sonic. A firefighter stated that there was some minor damage to a utility pole, but added that it could wait until morning to be checked by Unitil. Officers guided traffic along a single lane while a tow truck moved the vehicle. U.S. futures point to a slightly lower open. U.S. stock index futures traded slightly lower Tuesday morning as investors monitor developments in trade relations between Washington and Beijing. September debate stage nearly set ahead of deadline. With 2 days left until the qualifying deadline for the third Democratic primary debate on Wednesday, a couple of candidates are closing in on the polling threshold, potentially growing the number of qualifying contenders and sparking the field over 2 nights. So far, a winnowed field of 10 candidates are posed to take the debate stage in Houston, according to an ABC News analyst, reaching the cap to keep the event to only a single night. It's the smallest qualifying crowd yet for a matchup in a presidential field that still counts over 20 Democrats in its ranks. But the upcoming third debate, hosted by ABC News in partnership with Univision in Houston, stands on the verge of being split over September 12th and September 13th. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.